Earth. Fire. Air. Water.
Hello and welcome to episode 4 of Queer Peer Reviews. My name is Jamie and I'm your host. Here on Queer Peer Reviews, we will be reviewing queer media, good, bad, and ugly. And today with me is my co-host, Jordan.
Here at Queer Peer Reviews, we'll be reviewing your favorite and not so favorite movies, TV shows, video games, anything and everything with queer themes, queer characters, and just the gay.
All of the gay. But today we have something special. We have our very first queer character spotlight, and it is none other than the only Avatar Korra.
I can't tell you how excited I am to talk about Korra.
Yes,
just as a character.
I love the Avatar universe so much that I got it permanently tattooed on my arm. But anyway, when Korra first came out, I believe that was 2012 on Nickelodeon. I didn't want to watch it at first because I was such a big fan of Avatar Aang's story that it was just so different for me, and I didn't want to watch it. But a few years later, after the show ended, I believe that was 2014, I saw a Tumblr post where it had a picture of the final shot of Korra, which was Asami and Korra holding hands. I wasn't out yet. I didn't really have a lot of gay feelings, but I was like, oh, really? And there's something about that made me want to watch it again. Future Jamie. Past Jamie.
Future Jamie. Falling in love with an animated character.
But yeah, so the legend of Korra takes place 70 years after the 100-year war that took place in Avatar: The Last Airbender. Korra's queer story doesn't really happen until much later in the final season.
You start seeing little themes here and there, starting season 3 and season 4. But before that, it seemed like the creators either did not decide yet that Korra was going to be a queer character, or just Nickelodeon wasn't allowing them. I know Nickelodeon had a lot of hovering on making sure that they couldn't do certain things.
This was also before gay marriage was legalized, I believe 2 or 3 years before it was legalized. But Brian Konietzko, I believe is how you pronounce it, he was fighting for Korra to be a queer character, and he always wanted her to be one. But Nickelodeon would only let him take it so far, which is how we ended up with just the hand-holding scene at the final shot of the series. A few years later in 2017, which is when the Korra comics started coming out, that is when we started exploring more of Korra's queer background.
I really love that, because you could claim it's queer baiting a bit with them announcing, oh yeah, by the way, Korra's bisexual after the show gets finished, which a lot of people do, but you don't see it. But then they said that, and then we got Turf Wars.
Yes.
Where it not only acknowledges the fact that she's gay, but it really goes into the history of sexuality in the Avatar universe, which I really appreciated, learning how before everything, before the 100-Year War, how the different nations were. The Fire Nation was super accepting until the 100-Year War, and they're no, gay bad.
Yeah, gay bad, yeah. And the air nomads, Kaya, which is Avatar Aang's daughter, she is a lesbian, and she talks about how the air nomads were always so accepting, so when she finally came out to Aang, it was like nothing, because that's his culture. I believe the Earth Kingdom was very...
They were some of the slower people to get up behind that.
They're very conservative. I'm not sure about the Water Tribe.
Water Tribe, so they go into that in Legend of Korra when Korra talks to her father, when the coming out happens for her. The Water Tribe, though, is accepting and loving of it. It's more like one of those... you guys can do your own thing, but we don't discuss family matters to the public. So keep it to yourself. But thumbs up.
You're all right, I guess. But yeah, so I really love the comic so much because it just goes through her entire story. I'm one of those people, when I see something gay and I'm watching something in private, I get all giggly. I go hee hee hee. I'm one of those people. So there's a lot of those scenes in Korra. One thing I want to point out specifically, I bookmarked it for show, is When?
One more page.
One more
One
page.
No, too many
One more
pages.
page. No.
Oh.
Oh God.
There we go.
So when
The reflection of it.
oh God. So when Korra and Asami finally kiss during their battle with the comic's villain, everybody witnesses their relationship for the very first time, and everyone's just really surprised. They're like, you two are together, but meanwhile, like, there's a bunch of fire around them. There's like a whole explosion that happens, but their main concern is, oh my God, Asami and Korra are together, and Mako, who actually dated both Korra and Asami, is the most shocked because it's his two ex-girlfriends that are finally just together now, and he doesn't know how to handle it.
But I like how everyone else is more than happy. They're like, this is great.
Yeah.
Oh, Mako's brother, Bolin, the first thing he says is, I called dibs on the first double date.
Yeah, the first double date, and it's so adorable, her coming out story.
At least for like a coming out to friends, that is like, one of the best reactions you can hope for.
Yeah, and it was earlier in the story where Asami and Korra are talking to Kaya. They're basically worried, like, how is everyone gonna react? Like, we're scared, but she says, hey, like, if they're your friends and they love you, like, they're gonna accept you no matter what. And I just really love that about the comics. It's all about love.
Another thing that these comics did really well, in my opinion, is it acknowledged their relationship back during the TV show. Because the TV show couldn't go into that, and so the comic took the second to backtrack and kind of explain where all the gay kind of bloomed from. It's not like the comics just decided, oh, okay, we're gay now.
Yeah.
Everything from the TV show didn't really matter, we're just gay now.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of shows do that, where if they want to introduce a gay character, they kind of just sweep all this under the rug and start making stuff like, oh yeah, no, like, actually, like, this part, they were in love with each other, but it's really just to, like, attend to their queer audiences. But I feel like it made a lot of sense, because they talk about how Korra went missing for 3 years, and she only wrote letters to Asami. Nobody else in her life, not even her, like, two best friends, Mako and Bolin.
Asami was the only one that she couldn't live without talking to.
Yes, and
yeah. I mean, we get to know that before all that, when Korra got poisoned, and Asami took care of her, that's when Korra kind of made that connection that, oh shoot, I like you.
Yeah, and in the comics, she also talks about how she didn't express her feelings to Korra during those letters because she was afraid of losing her if Korra didn't feel the same, which it obviously she did feel very strongly about her as well, if that was the only person she wrote letters to. Yeah, and I did my research, and I think that Avatar Korra is like coming out, or at least that one scene at the end of the TV series was one of the first queer representations on Nickelodeon. And I feel like it was a jump starter for other queer shows, other queer characters that Nickelodeon further added to their
repertoire.
Repertoire. Avatar Korra was one of the first queer characters to be shown on children's television, and even though it was just a hand-holding scene, it was like the pioneer for queer characters on children's TV shows.
I mean, she is a bicon.
She is a bicon.
And I like that they established that she is bisexual, that it's not like her relationship with, her relationships before were lies, or that they were just trying to rewrite it, but no, she did love him, and then she just eventually got her girl, because the Avatar always gets her girl. And then I believe the previous female Avatar, who was an air nomad, was also gay.
Yes, I know they talk about that.
So far, all the female Avatars that we have info on like
fruity.
women. So I just take it that the Avatar, as a spirit itself,
loves women.
Loves
women. I mean, can you blame them?
So does that mean Rava is just gay?
Next on Queer Peer Reviews is Rava gay. But one thing I want to talk about, in the show, how they couldn't show their queer themes, but they showed a lot of people getting murdered on screen. End of season 1, just so much death. They exploded the boat that they were riding on, which killed 2 people. It was on screen. It wasn't like you hear about it later. Oh, did you hear so-and-so is dead?
It's also not even just like the mention of death. It's like the talking of killing children. I mean,
Yes.
they take over the Air Temple Island with the children, and I believe she was pregnant at the time. They're trying to like attack this.
Straight up murder.
Like they sent an army to fight 3 kids and a pregnant woman. So
Yeah, and in the further seasons too, I forget her name, but there's this one character who can blow stuff up with her mind, and one of Toph's children, who's a metal bender, wraps a metal helmet around her head as she's about to blow something up, and
that is such a graphic scene. Like,
Yeah.
they don't show you it, but you know exactly what happened.
It kind of shows like they could show people getting murdered. Mind you, this was live on Nickelodeon, so all my middle schoolers, they were just witnessing murder on television, but they couldn't show anything more than just hand-holding for Asami and Korra.
But at least we got to see the kissing in Turf Wars and
There's
beyond.
so much.
Because it's not like it just ended with Turf Wars. We've gotten, I believe now, 3 other comic series that have come past this. And one of the beautiful things I like about Legend of Korra in its comic form is it has this relationship. It's not a perfect relationship. They butt heads, but they also make up. And it's also not a big deal. I mean, Turf Wars, it's all about the relationship, but after that, their relationship is just like every other relationship. And I don't know, I like that. They don't try to blow it up too much where that's all this is about.
Yeah, I haven't read the second wave of comics, but I know it doesn't explore the queer themes as much as this one does. But like you said, it's more like they're just your average couple.
Because their identity isn't the fact that they are together or that they're bi or gay or whatever.
Yeah.
Their identity is them, and that's just one of the many aspects of what makes them them.
Yeah, and what I really like about the relationship is both of them are very powerful, independent women. And just them being together is just this like power couple of like smarts, brawn, all of the above, like just skill. They're just such a talented couple. When I first watched the Korra series and she got together with Mako, I don't know why. I was just very upset. Like I said, when I first watched this, I was not out yet. Just something about her and Mako did not seem right to me, and it just made me very angry. But now I realize what it was. I shipped her with Asami because no man was good enough for my dear Korra. If you haven't read the comics already, I strongly suggest they do, but I'm about to have a spoiler about what the comic ends with, and throughout this entire book, Korra is trying to tell Asami something, but she's too shy to say it. But in the end, she reveals that she loves Asami. Any woman love and woman relationship, they move incredibly fast, which I like the representation that is here.
I mean, is it fast? They were friends for like 4 years.
That's true, but they
more than 4
like,
years.
What is
before
this like? This takes place within 3 days, and they'll start dating. And they're like, I love you.
Oh, okay, you're right.
Like, I'm in love with you.
Oh, yeah, no, that is fast.
It's very fast, but I don't mind it because.
You know what? At the end of the
Yay.
story, like we want that. I want to see them say "I love you."
So let's get down to the ratings for Avatar Korra. We're gonna do 4 ratings this time, and we're gonna have the total out of 100%. So first, we're gonna start off with representation. How well does Korra represent the queer community? So I give Korra an 8.9. I think she really is a bicon by all definitions. Starts off with Mako and had love interest with Bolin. And then now she's with Asami, and I think she's just a really strong character, and just everything about her. I loved how they wrote her as a queer character in the comics, which I wish there was more of it in the show itself.
She's just such a strong woman, making her also bisexual. As someone who is bisexual, it was very nice, especially back then when you were reading up about that and finding out. It was nice to look at and feel represented. So that's why it gets a high rating. It doesn't get higher for me just because the TV show didn't really include that. The creators tried to put stuff in, but it ended up falling short just because they weren't able to
That's
be
a Nickelodeon.
Yeah, they couldn't be obvious with it. So I wish that we had something more via the television show, something that more mainstream media would see, not the comics
Yeah.
who are more for like the diehard fans.
Yeah, I feel like if Korra was created today, this would be a 10 or close to it, honestly.
Next up, we're going to be rating the closet rating to see how well that we think this character invites us to come out of the closet, how much we're inspired by it.
So for the closet rating, Avatar Korra's coming out story made us feel. What did you do?
I gave it an
I
8.7.
gave it a 9.5.
You're giving it high. You
I like
this.
it.
I mean, I like it too.
I have my reasons. So let's hear yours.
So I gave it 8.7 because it did have a lot of very positive coming out portions to it. Except, I mean, it's fantasy. It's make believe. So as someone, I know that it's make believe. I know that it's not real. The history of everything's not real. So the cultures, all that, it's not going to be the same when you come out. It didn't really inspire me back then to come out. It made me feel good, but it didn't really drive me.
Yeah, I feel like if I went through with watching Korra when it first came out, before I actually came out, I would have come out a lot sooner.
Actually.
Yeah, because when I first saw that Tumblr post, I was very impacted by it. I might not have been totally comfortable with my sexuality yet, but I saw it and it made me feel different. It made me want to watch it for obvious reasons that I now know. But I really love Korra's coming out story to her friends when they just all express how much, like, it's okay, like, we love you, like, this is amazing, like, you two are perfect for each other. They were so supportive, and I feel like the supportive friendships is what we all aspire to maintain after coming out. Korra's parents kind of scared me a little bit. Like, they were supportive, but then they were also, like,
Protective.
they were protective, and they're like, oh, like, you shouldn't really tell anybody because
Yeah.
you don't know how they're gonna react. So they were supportive, but not in the best way. But they were doing it for her safety, and yeah, Avatar Korra, good job. So next on our rating scale is going to be Avatar Korra's impact on the queer community, because like I said, this was the first form of representation on Nickelodeon for queer characters. And for impact, we give it,
A 9.8.
I give it an 8.
What? How did I go
I-
higher than you this time?
You finally, well, yeah.
Yeah.
So what's your reasoning then?
I gave it 9. Well, it's a bisexual representation back in like the early 2010s. I don't know.
14 to be exact.
2014. Okay, so about more mid, but I don't know. It's like I felt impacted by it. I felt very inspired. Maybe not to come out, but I felt represented. I felt it made me feel good knowing that they made Korra something from my childhood. At least Avatar was from my childhood, and they made her bisexual. They didn't just make her bisexual, but they blatantly made her and published works of her being bisexual. It wasn't just like a mentioned online in a quote that you had to go looking for kind of thing.
Yeah, type of digging.
I don't know. It made me feel very good.
Yeah, I give it an 8. I don't give it any higher because I feel like if this all happened, if the first few chapters of the Legend of Korra comics happened in the show, I feel like I would have definitely been impacted a lot more, because all I was given was, oh, they held hands, and it wasn't until 3 years later where the first comic came out. So you kind of just, okay, the story's over. They held hands.
Yeah.
Are they gay or are they friends? But a lot of people knew what it was. A lot of people just assumed it was friendship hand-holding. But yeah, I give it an 8 because I feel like being the first of its kind on TV was very impactful for the community. Next is our overall feelings towards Avatar Korra, and we give it
9.5 and a 10.
I love it. I love it
I
so
do.
much. I actually want to get a Korra tattoo soon, but I just don't know what.
I support it.
Thank you. But yeah, I love the story so much. Like I said earlier, it just made me giggle. Lots of giggling going on while I was reading it at night.
Legend of Korra is such a great story. On its own, it was beautiful, and then they just got better as it went on, as the comics came out. As you can see, these, like, I couldn't wait for the big hardcover. I bought them and pre-ordered them as they came out. I was in love with it.
Wow. That's
So
a commitment.
overall, I love this story.
Yeah, I honestly, I wish I saw it so much earlier in my life because I feel like things would have been different for me maybe. But it's okay. Everything works out for a reason. But it's just such a fun story. Besides the queer themes, just Korra's whole journey is just so entertaining and inspiring.
And Asami's.
And Asami's, yeah, both of them are
They
such
both went
powerful
through
characters.
so much.
Are we gonna make them kiss now?
Do you want to? Is she bending? Okay. Oh, it's
Wait,
beautiful.
we gotta do it for the close-up. Okay. But yeah, I just love the story so much. I can't wait for there to be more. If there are gonna be more, I think there's a third comic coming out. if
Third
I'm
comic,
not
and
mistaken.
honestly, who knows what they're going to do with the TV shows now?
Mm-hmm.
I've heard a lot of different projects that have been like thrown out as ideas, so we might see some of this actually put on screen, and that
Yes.
is my hope.
More
Legend
gay.
of Korra movie. Who knows?
More gay.
More
gay. More gay Avatar. All right, so for the Legend of Korra, let's get our QPR total. We're gonna have this dictated by our straight ally, AJ.
All right, so in total we have 73 out of 80 on the scale.
Okay.
And it is a 91.25%.
91, that is a gay plus for Avatar, Korra.
plus.
It's a gay plus. Yes, good job, Korra.
I mean, I had no doubt that it would rate that high.
If we rated it any lower than 90s, I would have been very disappointed in myself. We would have had to refilm this episode.
Yeah, the whole thing would have been scrapped. You're fired.
You're fired. But thank you so much for tuning into this episode of Queer Peer Reviews. This is our very first queer character spotlight, so join us in for more in the future. We will be providing links below for the Trevor Project and other fundraisers you can help donate to. Jordan, do you have any exiting words?
Well, join us again for more gay, and don't forget to like.
More gay.